All right. We called it early. Megatrends added HIMS at $37 back in March. Now it's ripped up 60% higher after the biggest women's health launch in years. So, first, let's get into the entry. This is the HIMS and HERS revolution. I want to get into the entry on this stock. We got in about 37 bucks late March after the stock had made a major decline from all-time highs. Meandered around after that, and you'll notice that when it got back up to our entry, like we talked about in another episode this week about buying at all-time highs, when it got back up to our entry, we did not sell. In fact, momentum was then on our side. And the stock has moved higher. It's been choppy ever since. We just got news this week that HIMS has entered the women's menopause, perimenopause market. And the stock ripped higher this week and is getting back near those all-time highs. And so I drew that red line there. It's just under $70, right around 70. If you see HIMS at 70 plus, I think it's probably ready for a big breakout. Again, all-time highs are your friend, especially on revolutionary companies like this. HIMS and HERS started as hair loss for men, erectile dysfunction, and now they're really transforming women's health, menopause, hormones, etc. Just a lot of the things I think that both men and women don't want to go into a doctor and discuss. Like, you'd rather just fill out a form on an app, have a doctor review the information, maybe ask you some questions in a chat, and then get you the prescription you need. That's what people want, and that's what HIMS and HERS delivers. Menopause and perimenopause, search interest up, steady to the right over time. Testosterone, search interest up, steady to the right over time. And it's HIMS and HERS that's benefiting from this. And this is what we saw when we entered this position in March. All-time highs on web visits from men going to the For HIMS site and women especially going to the For HERS site. And now with the menopause and perimenopause treatments and medication offerings, we expect that to just absolutely skyrocket on the women's side. You know, there's 1.3 million women who enter menopause every year, and they spend about $2,000 per year to deal with this. There's a $1 billion revenue target for the HERS side of this business by 2026. And so I believe it when I hear the HIMS and HERS executives say, it's not just medication, it's a platform that women can trust. We're building the future. It was really easy to dismiss HIMS when it first came out. It was like this kind of sketchy site that you could go and buy Viagra, or you could go and buy hair loss treatment, kind of online purchasing. You know, it's probably better than buying it out of the backpack of the guy at the gym. It's kind of what it felt like. But they've really proven themselves to be excellent at building trust with their users and clients, excellent at going to the pain points of the patient, those things that aren't life or death, but that you don't necessarily want to sit in a waiting room, go talk to a doctor, go explain all of your problems face to face with someone rather than just filling it out on an app. HIMS and HERS makes it very easy to deal with all of this. And as a result, they have got an unbelievably low churn for this industry. I think the last I saw was 20 to 25% churn on their GLP-1 drugs, when the industry average is more like 65 or 70%. So they're building trust. They're making things easy. They're helping people track their progress. And it's all literally in the palm of your hand. And that's why we think that this stock, although we're now up 60%, if it gets to 74, we'll be at a double, and it'll be at a new all-time high, which means that a double from there is even more likely than the double from where we entered. That's the type of stock and play that we love at LikeFolio. Then our investing philosophy is, and what Megatrends is built around, is find a enormous cultural or consumer trend. That's number one, that you know is only going to grow and isn't going to stop. Telehealth, digital medical information sharing and prescribing, etc. We know that this industry is going to get huge. Then you find the best stock, especially if that stock is small cap, that is resonating with consumers and that people love. That's where the name LikeFolio came from. What do people like? What companies do they like and do they use? If you find a massive mega trend with huge tailwinds behind a small company that is making people really happy to spend money with them, that's the recipe for the massive winners that we try to find and that we've had a good track record of finding. I encourage you to think that way, whether you're getting started investing or you've been investing for a long time, maybe unsuccessfully chasing FOMO, etc. I think the best way to invest, I didn't start really making great money in the market until I stopped looking at stock charts and I started looking at behavior. And I started looking at Main Street and started looking at data that LikeFolio discovers about web visits, web searches, app downloads, consumer happiness levels, etc. But just living, experiencing and observing people and seeing where the culture and the consumer is shifting, where their money is going, and which companies are most likely to absorb most of that tailwind. And that's when you can get these massive winners like you guys have had Tesla. The key is you want to give yourself a chance to double, triple, 10x your money over time. And it only takes one or two of those to really change a portfolio. Summary: HIMS and HERS, we've got tailwinds of their new product line. We've got web visits near all-time highs, telling us that they're still the ones resonating with the consumer. And we've got the stock getting close to breaking through new all-time highs. If we can get another $10 on this thing, I think it could really run all the way through 2026. The biggest part of this whole thing is that the company knows how to execute. They know their customer, they know the customer's pain points, and they know how to solve those really well. So that's what we look for when we invest. Email me, Andy@likefolio.com, or hit me up on X @AndySwan. Would love to hear some stocks you think have a big, massive consumer shift tailwind and are best of breed in their category. And we'll take a look. So with that, I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining.